welcome back to our one wild and precious lives and our dogs. Today I'm here with one of my favorite people in Guanajuato, Rodrigo, and his Jack Russel Terrier, Orisa. Rodrigo and I met because of a mutual friend who used to be his roommate, Adam. But we just didn't really hang out all that much. But when Adam left, or shortly before he left, he kind of told me, you need Rodrigo, or that's what I heard. I'm not sure if that's what he actually said, but I feel like he told me that you need Rodrigo in your life. He's going to be your new Adam. And he needs you in his life because you're going to be his new Adam. Kind of set us up on a friend date where we went to a Japanese restaurant.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm Rodrigo. Yeah, he told me the same, I think Chrissy needs you and you need her and you can be great friends, so try to call her. Yeah, and I think at the beginning we were kind of shy.
Yeah.
Just hanging out once, every couple of months or something. Yeah, but at some point we started hanging out every week, Monday.
It's kind of funny. It was like someone setting you up with someone, but as a friend date, not like a setup. I have never met someone in this particular way before, I think.
Yeah, that was weird. But I think that's Adam's thing, yeah.
Yeah. And he was right about it, because I'm really, really grateful to have you in my life. Especially a few months ago, I was going through a hard time, and you were the person who made me feel that I could always come if I needed you, or if I needed a place to feel safe, or if I didn't want to be at home alone and be depressed.
Yeah, and that's nice.
Yeah, and you really gave me that feeling, and you meant it, because you, like me, are someone who wouldn't say that if you didn't mean it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you say it, you keep your word. And I kind of felt that, and just knowing that made everything better. Yeah.
That's nice. Thank you for telling me that.
Yeah, and I'm going to really miss you when I move away from Guanajuato. I feel very lucky to have met you and get to be a friend.
Yeah, thank you for telling me. I feel the same. Yeah, I feel the same. Yeah.
Thank you, Adam, for setting us up.
Yeah, well, thank you, Chrissy. I feel the same. Yeah, thank you.
Well, before I'm taking over this podcast and just running away, talking, Rodrigo, tell us a little bit more about yourself, and also especially about your dog, Orisa, because many of our listeners are dog people and have 1 or 2 or 10 dogs at home. And I am absolutely sure they want to know who your dog is.
Well, I'm Rodrigo. I'm from Mexico. And I was born in a state called Michoacán. But when I was 23 or something, I moved to Guanajuato, where I started studying.
Mm-hmm.
I have a major on linguistic and Spanish teaching.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a Spanish teacher. And I've been doing this for 6 years or something.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But also I'm into other things like art, painting, music. And Orisa.
Yeah.
Orisa is a Jack Russell. Well, we met 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And originally she was my brother's dog.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother was living in my apartment in Guanajuato.
With you?
With me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he asked me if... he told me at the end, I knew it was a lie. He told me someone from the job was giving him this dog, a Jack Russell.
I didn't know that.
And if that was okay for me, and I was like, oh yeah, she's pretty cute. She's very nice. Yeah, but I knew he was actually buying her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. And yeah, we started living together. I'm kind of picky in my house, especially with cleaning and with my things. I like having order in my house.
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of difficult with a Jack Russell puppy. You
Yeah.
know, in general with any puppy, it's difficult to save your things. You have
Yeah.
to have new customs in your house, like not leaving your shoes.
Yes.
You know,
Not leaving anything.
anything.
Basically, you need to live in an empty house.
Yeah, exactly. So we had a lot of problems, and I talked with my brother, and I told him like I don't want the dog here in my house anymore.
Yeah. So you basically kicked him out, or you said it's you or the dog.
Yeah, it was an ultimatum.
Yeah.
It's you or the dog. And by that time, the house next to my apartment was on rent, so he rented, and we became neighbors.
Oh, so he picked the dog over you?
Yeah. But it was okay. He started this relationship that he still has. It was like 3 people and, well, a couple, me and a dog, and the space was like too.
Yeah.
Too
Oh, you
small
all
for
lived in your. I didn't realize.
Yeah, in my apartment. Yeah, so I think it was a good decision for him to move to his own house with their dogs, because then he got another dog, a border collie.
Macarena.
Macarena, yeah. Everything at the beginning was all right, but something happened between Macarena and Orisa. I don't know who was the bad one in this. But the thing is that they started fighting, and they had like a big fight once. Orisa started, and Macarena like fight back. But since Macarena is a border collie, is much bigger than Orisa, and Orisa almost died in that attack. Well, my brother and his girlfriend, they decided that they couldn't have both dogs in the same house. So they asked me to take care of Orisa for a while until resolve the problem.
Ah, okay.
The idea,
for a while.
Yeah, the idea wasn't to keep care of course, was to see if they could have like some training for the dogs, or move even to another house with 2 gardens, like a front yard and a backyard, to keep them apart. But well, it wasn't an option. She started living with me, and at the beginning I was not that agree. I didn't agree with the idea.
Yeah.
I mean,
but you did it as a favor for your brother.
Yeah. And well, I don't know, something changed. I also had problems, like some issues, and I was feeling actually very alone at that moment. So Risa came in the right moment, like when I was feeling like very sad, very lonely. And then I was kind of sad because she was with me, you know, because the way I received with all, like, I don't know how to say, like, well, injured, with some injuries in around her neck and everything.
Oh, like, that was right after the attack.
Yeah, it was in the same, like 1 hour after attack. I got her like in this state, and I was like, I don't want any problems with dog, because I have a lot of stories with dog, like with injury and accidents with dogs, and I didn't want like anything to do with pets. My turtle was killed by a cat like last year before that. So yeah, I was like kind of traumatized,
You didn't want to have that kind of relationship again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but then Orisa and I started became friends, I think.
Yeah.
I started like get used to her, and yeah, she started being less anxious about being in a new space, and and little by little we started like being like very close. We started go hiking together. She goes with me when I have to work, like in a cafe or something, or she's even in some of my online classes. Yeah, so she's part of my life right now. And
and she's your dog now, right? Not your brother's dog.
Yeah, exactly. Even if they move to a bigger house or whatever.
Or if they left the country, she would be with you. She would stay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I told them that there's no way Orisa is going back to you. Yeah.
She's a pretty special dog. Well, she's obviously my favorite Jack Russel Terrier, but I also don't have any other Jack Russel Terriers in my life, so that's easy to say. And she also has the privilege. Game has shared her mat with her. Game has a magic carpet. Nobody gets to touch that. When she's on it, nobody can be on it or interact with her. It's like this safe space, and I make sure that nobody goes on it, and she also doesn't want it. But they have slept together on her mat at a cafe, for example. Orisa, up until now, is the only dog who has ever had that right in Game's life.
Oh.
Yeah. So she's pretty special.
Yeah.
And now she's sitting on my lap, and I'm enjoying her. Unfortunately, the listeners can't see her. Well, so what I wanted to talk to Rodrigo about today is something other than dogs. I want this podcast to not only feature dog content and living abroad content, but one other thing that is really important to me personally is queer content. And up until now, I haven't recorded a single queer episode. So I want to make this our first queer episode. When I was thinking about this, I also realized that, so Rodrigo is gay, and like we talk about stuff.
We're queers.
Yeah. And we talk about stuff that's going on in our everyday life now, but I realized that actually I don't really know much about what it is like to grow up as a gay man in Mexico. Because we haven't really talked about our pasts in that respect.
Not really.
Would you mind sharing a little bit what it was like? Because I imagine it might be quite different than it was for me growing up in Austria. Because the surrounding culture is different. It's different everywhere, and it's also different for every person. What was your personal experience? When did you realize you were gay, and how did you experience that? Who did you share it with, or did you share it with anyone? Did you have a coming out?
Well, it's difficult, I think. I don't know now, but when I was a kid,
what year were you born in?
I was born in 1990, so I'm 31. So we're talking like in the 90s. Yeah, when I was growing up, and when I realized I'm gay was when I was maybe 7.
Oh, that's really early.
Yeah.
How did you realize? I did not know. I didn't realize so early.
Well, I don't know if I realized I was gay, but I realized I was like kind of different from other kids, like boys. And also my toys choices and stuff like that. My sister used to have this Polly Pocket set. Do you know Polly Pocket?
I feel like it sounds familiar, but I don't know what it is.
Well, it's like a tiny house. It's something like a shell or something, like a little case.
Oh, yes, I've seen those.
Open.
I never had those.
And it's a house with a tiny doll.
I was not into
those.
It
was so cute, and I wanted one, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of felt like I was different in that moment. When other boys were asking for, like more mainly toys, like action figures or toy weapons or whatever. And I wanted this Polly Pocket set.
And did you tell your parents that you wanted one too?
I told my mom I wanted one. Yeah, and she got me one, a yellow one. I think she was like okay, but she wanted like this toy to be like totally girly, so she got me a yellow one.
And usually they're pink, or?
My sister had a pink one.
Were you as happy with the yellow one as you would have been with the pink one, or was it lesser?
No, I was really happy with my Polly Pocket. And also my mom managed to got other, like kind of the same style toys, but with like more mainly content.
So what was in there?
Like a shark and like a really mainly shark and with some guns but it was cool. It was the shape of a shark, and then you open it and it was like the base. Some character. And
in the mouth.
In the mouth, yeah.
And did you enjoy those just as much as the other ones?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe it was the idea. So I maybe I didn't have like any problem about like girly stuff or more like boy stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But then also like in elementary school, all boys wanted to play soccer, and I didn't like
Mm-hmm.
soccer. I don't like soccer at all. For me, it was easier to hang out with the girls, and the girls were playing like Barbies or Polly Pocket as well, or
Mm-hmm.
talking about like girl things. So I started like hanging out with them,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like really comfortable. I didn't want to hang out with the boys, you know. For me,
Yeah.
soccer was like too mainly very violent, and I wasn't like that. I felt like I was more delicate, you know, more shy as well.
But nobody made you play soccer, so it was okay to play with the girls, or?
No, well, actually, someone made me play soccer, but I'm going to that part of the story. But yeah, this wasn't easy because I was having like a lot of bullying at that time. Like,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, it wasn't normal
Yeah.
for a boy to be playing with Barbies and spend the whole time with the girls,
And
you
there
know?
was no one else in your environment.
Like, doing the same?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, so I was receiving bullying from the girls, like, you know, like making fun of me.
From the girls?
For hanging out with other girls, but
Yeah.
also from other boys, from
Yeah.
the boys, like all of the boys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because obviously for them I was a faggot, like they call us, you know, like a joto or
Mm-hmm.
something.
At that age already.
Yeah, yeah, it was like I was yeah, like maybe first, second grade.
Yeah.
So it was like 7 or 8.
Did you all even know what that was supposed to mean?
Kind of,
Yeah.
kind of, yeah. Yeah, so I didn't like school at all at that time, and I also was having issues with my family. Well, my family was having issues, and they were fighting all the time, like my parents and also my brothers. I have 2 brothers and 1 sister.
Mm-hmm.
All of them are older.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they were also kind of mean with me for the
Mm-hmm.
same reason. So I was receiving bullying in my house and also in my school. It wasn't easy for me.
Yeah.
For everyone, it was weird. I don't know why it was a big deal. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
was just someone to have fun. But for my second grade teacher was a very bad thing to do.
What was the bad thing? The playing with girls?
Yeah. So in front of everyone, she was telling this story about a girl like used to play soccer and hanging out with boys and have a very butch uh, style
Mm-hmm.
and manners. And at the end of everything, she became lesbian, and now and at that moment, she was in problems or in trouble or whatever, you know.
Where would
Well,
her troubles been? Did she
no,
specify that?
no, but you know how people scare you about things,
Yeah.
like about marijuana, I don't know, like you start with marijuana and you end like
Yeah.
dead in a trash can.
Right, and the same thing is.
And the
Yeah.
same thing is with queerness. Like you
Yeah.
start as a boy playing with girls with Barbies, and you end up selling yourself in the streets and having dying of AIDS or something.
Obviously, that's happening to all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she told us this story, and obviously she was telling it because of me.
And she told it to everyone, but like to the entire class. But
Yeah.
like, oh God, that's
So
horrible.
she told to everyone. So from now on, like boys only going to play soccer with the boys, and the girls are going to play Barbies or whatever they want to play, just with the girls.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to play soccer.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like she put me in a hot spot.
Yeah.
She put me with the bullies, so everyone started bullying me. At that point, at soccer, I couldn't play soccer at all. So everyone.
Right, because you hadn't played earlier.
Yeah.
So how would you? Yeah.
Yeah, so it was very bad.
Yeah.
So that made me like became really lonely, very shy, very insecure of myself. And as I say, I was having problems with my family at the same time. It was not good.
Yeah.
Basically, I didn't have anyone to talk about this.
Yeah.
Then maybe when I became a teenager, before that maybe at 12 or 11,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't playing with Barbies anymore, but I started noticing boys,
Mm-hmm.
like you are having these
Yeah.
sexual health classes in
Yeah.
school and you don't feel related. You feel related about the changes and everything and you feel uncomfortable like everyone. But then you have like the other books or telling you like, you're going to start like looking at girls and girls are going to start looking at boys and you can have relationships and this kind of.
We did not. So I'm curious because we did not have these classes at all. I know it's common in all of the Americas,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just not a thing that happened in Austria. So this class we never got that class. So there was a book and it was a class that you had for an entire semester or an entire year.
Well, we have
where they taught heteronormative values and how to be a good husband.
Yeah, actually, we have like the good ones, like biology, when we see like the science and the biology part of the change, know.
Okay, we did that too, but it was not. It was not. It wasn't sexual education or anything like that.
And also like sexual education, but like really normative. You don't talk about other things, but just like straight sex. Yeah, and then we also have like this manners class, like civic behavior class in school. And actually, a friend of mine in Facebook uploaded a photo. The caption was like, I was cleaning my house and I found this. And it's like instructions to be a good girlfriend. Like, seriously, I'm going to show you the picture because it's crazy.
At what age was that? What class?
Maybe like 13, 14, something like that. It's like a girl always have to be clean and look pretty for her boyfriend.
Oh my god, that sounds so horrible to me.
A girl always have to be the perfect girlfriend always behaves good in front of everyone and obeys like any superior. It's crazy.
And did you also have that book? That same book?
I think so, yeah.
And what about the perfect... I guess there was the perfect girlfriend and the
perfect boyfriend. Says something about not being married or having another relationship.
So you should be faithful?
Yeah. Having enough money and...
Capitalism, you go?
Yeah. And be...
Also important?
Yeah, and try to have more money, like scale in the social.
Oh, really? So that at 13 they are already teaching you, quite literally, that you're supposed to climb the ladder of success.
Yeah, and actually it's really racist because this preference, the boyfriend and the girlfriend have to be the same nationality, same race, and same religion.
Wait, it said that in the book?
Yeah, I saw it.
No.
Yeah.
Do you still have that book?
I don't have that book, but I have the photo that my friend.
I definitely have to show me that photo.
Yeah,
that sounds insane. Wow. Well, we didn't have any manners classes, so we didn't have any of these books. It's not that it was talked about more liberally, it just wasn't talked about at all.
Yeah. So it was crazy because we had like the good information. Like I know about sexual disease since I was like 11 or 10.
Yeah.
And also my mom provided me a lot of this information with books she used to bring to the house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the other hand, we have the right way to be a man or the right way to be a woman, and obviously being gay doesn't fit in that.
Right. Yeah. So at that point, anyone would realize that they don't fit with that picture.
Yeah. I mean, they're trained to make you like they want.
Yeah. What did it feel like to be in a class like that, where this was taught?
I wasn't paying much attention, actually. It was, now that I think about it, it was just very weird.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of elementary school, I had managed to make some friends, also with bully, so not real friends, but at least people that wanted to hang out with me. Like these kind of friends that make fun of you, but you also make fun of them.
But you know that you are lower on the social hierarchy than they are, but they're the best option that's available to you.
Yeah, but actually everyone weren't. was in the lower social hierarchy
Yeah.
in school. Yeah, so they were talking all the time about porn, like having sex with girls or taking out.
At 13, 14.
Yeah, and I wasn't feeling like related to that.
Did you pretend?
Yeah, but I don't feel that.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to say that most of my education was in a Catholic school.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, obviously, like being homosexual is a sin. So I also had to deal with that.
Yeah. So at what age do they teach you that?
I think it's also in the same age, like 13, 14.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also they teach you that, yeah, being gay or masturbation or any other sexual activity is a sin.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at that point I was scared, you know, because of the people, yeah, about me being like maybe a kind of girly. I was scared about being punished by God, because
Yeah.
I didn't want to go to hell.
Yeah.
I mean. So I was at that point. It was like very hard because I know what I am, but I don't want to be this because I don't want to disappoint everyone, like my family. And I don't want to suffer because all movies, all TV shows at that point with gay representation suffer a lot. They suffer a lot of violence or disease, or they end like, dying of AIDS, or I didn't want that for me. And as well, I didn't want to go to hell.
Yeah.
I was fantasizing, like just talking with me about that. Yeah, but by the other hand, with my family and everyone, I didn't talk about anything.
So you didn't want them to know.
Yeah, I mean, I think at some point it was very clear that I was gay, so there wasn't much to say.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I didn't want to talk. That made me very. I built a wall with my family. That it's still like very high. I don't talk about myself with my family. I talk about my work.
Yeah.
Like normal stuff that's going on in the world, but I don't talk about my friends or my relationships or.
Yeah. Did you never have a conversation with them about these things? So they also didn't initiate talking about it?
They used to ask me, but they also knew that I was really reserved, like really, I didn't want to talk about this stuff. So in a kind of way, they are respecting my privacy, I think. Yeah, but I think internet was a good ally. I discovered MySpace when I was like 16 years old. So I was discovering like more queer people, like more people like me, like people of my age that were living not even in my country. But that was the cool part about MySpace, that made me realize that I don't have to stay in the place I was living.
What town were you living in then?
It's called La Piedad.
And how big is it?
It was like 70,000 people living there. Yeah.
But you never, or at that point, you had never crossed paths with another queer person in La Piedad. Like nobody would have let you know because it's something you don't talk about.
I think there were boys that for me seemed gay, and they were being bullied by the same reason. But no, I never had the courage or to talk with them. Yeah, I never talked with someone about that, or I had a lot of crushes, but I never had the courage to talk with them. I was way too scared.
And now you have all that courage. Now you have all that courage.
Yeah.
What changed? What gave you the confidence you have today? About, for example, starting a conversation with someone you have a crush on.
I think it was a whole process that started with MySpace. Then when I moved to Morelia, the biggest city in Michoacán, I was still scared about talking about this, even though I had more open-minded friends.
Did you go to university there too, or
Yeah,
what made you move
yeah.
there?
I started like literature, my literature major there, where I had some problems
Mm-hmm.
with the university, and at that time the state was very violent, so I
Mm-hmm.
decided to move, like being a refugee in another state in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, but I wasn't feeling comfortable because my friends were straight, and then I started like meeting in real life gay people,
Mm-hmm.
and then I started learning a lot of gay stuff, a lot of gay cultures.
Mm-hmm.
That it sounds like kind of weird, but it's necessary to know, and you're not going to get this information from like straight people.
No, yeah.
So a lot of vocabulary, a lot of things like music, and.
Mm-hmm.
So it was cool. I kind of already knew a lot of this stuff,
Yeah.
but see that it's real and that go to an actual gay bar and feel like free to do
Yeah.
whatever you want and dance whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And you started that in Morelia.
Yeah, yes, and then started hanging out with queer people. I have these friends, they are siblings.
Mm-hmm.
Diego and Karen, he's gay and she's lesbian.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to go like to gay clubs like all the time and trying
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
to hook up with someone.
The three of you.
Yeah.
It is funny. I have this friend too, and she has a sister. Like she's lesbian, and her sister is lesbian, and their dad is gay.
That's
So I was like, oh,
so
that's
cool.
kind of so funny.
Yeah, but I think it was more like here in Guanajuato, maybe before my 30s, that I started feeling more comfortable
Mm-hmm.
with who I am and the way I am. You
Mm-hmm.
know, there's still things I don't like about myself, but at least right now, like my queerness is something that I really like. I embrace it. I
I like that.
celebrate it.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was because of the people I met, like started meeting other people, like other queer people, and realize like things that you think are impossible for you
Mm-hmm.
because you're gay are actually not impossible
Mm-hmm.
because other people are
Such
choosing.
as such as having a relationship, or what do you
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, like a healthy relationship, for
Mm-hmm.
example, or being old and gay and still be happy and have projects, or be yeah, or still going out with your friends.
Yeah, you're not necessarily gonna die of AIDS at age 20.
Yeah, exactly. Or
Exactly.
even if you have HIV, you can
You
still
can
have a perfect life with a
exactly.
partner,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's very important to have these experiences. I mean, those are new experiences, but it's a way that you learn,
Yeah.
through other people experiences.
Yeah. Yeah. If you had a child of your own now, or adopted a child, or fostered a child, or raised a child, what would you do different in order to help them have a different experience than you had growing up?
Oh, a lot of things. Like, first of all, no religious school or Catholic school at all.
Yeah. I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Also, like, be more like. I don't want to say my parents didn't take care of me, but were being more conscious about what their children were going through.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a parent,
Yeah.
and I think I'm not going to be one. And
Me neither. And yet,
and,
this
and
is
I
something I think about a lot, though.
and I know it's very difficult to be a parent, and especially like my mom that had to raise 4 children. That's really difficult. That's
Yeah.
crazy, and I understand, but I don't know, like taking the time just to talk with your kids, like every night, have a serious conversation with them.
What would you talk about with them?
The day, the teachers, the classmates,
Mm-hmm.
things that I wanted to say, but that I didn't say because they didn't ask me.
Yeah.
And I was afraid to say it by my own because I don't know how they would react.
Yeah.
And also, well, like make them realize the house is a safe space
Mm-hmm.
to talk about whatever you want,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah, because also, well, there were other times, but also for my father, it was not correct to watch any kind of gay content. So every time we something on MTV or in any other American show with gay content, it was like turn off the TV or don't watch that,
Mm-hmm.
or why are you watching those faggots or something like that. Yeah, so that didn't
Yeah.
make the proper condition to came out because I was also
Right.
scared.
Yeah, that is not creating a safe space in your house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Like, I think about the hypothetical children I never want to have a lot. And I have entire plans of how I would raise the hypothetical children I never want to have. And which is like, I mean, it's also weird, right? Why would you even think about that so much if you don't have kids yourself? Like when I look around myself now, I have friends who are, so I'm 36, I'm a couple years older than Rodrigo, and my friends are having kids now, and I observe them and I live some of their experiences vicariously, and I enjoy that. But I'm also, sometimes I'm sad because my friends know that I'm gay, and there are so many things I wish, like I would like to tell them. I would like to tell them about how to make sure their kid doesn't become a bully.
Yeah.
Even if their kid is not gay themselves. Because it doesn't really matter. Like, this is important for every single child. It doesn't matter if they're queer or not. These are such important things. And my friends know that I'm gay, but I'm not a parent. So I feel like it's not my place to dole out parenting advice. But I just wish they'd ask me sometimes, like, what was it like for you?
Yeah.
Like, is there anything that you wish your parents had done differently that could maybe help me in some respect? If I feel like these are such important conversations that we should be having.
Yeah.
And we're still not having them because I'm seeing, like from a distance, because I've moved abroad and I'm far away and my life is, like I'm living life on my own terms. But when I'm looking at friends, I mean, it's different for everyone. Like they're all doing the very best they can and doing great jobs in some respects. But then there are other things that are just not on their radar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes me sad. It's repeating history because things only change if you do things differently. There are conversations that we could be having, but that we're not having.
Yeah.
And it's somehow sad.
Yeah, it's very important. Like, especially here in Mexico, there's this culture about like spanking kids, for example, or yell at kids and say like a lot of bad things to kids, like "you shut up, motherfucker." Like I have heard like some moms saying that to their kids.
Is it very common?
Yeah, especially like more uneducated parts, of the cities. But I think that repeats like every time. I mean, people are going to educate their kids as the same way they were educated, because that's the right way. Well, at least you think that's the right way to be educated because you were educated the same way.
Yeah.
And some people also have it like, yeah, it was like this for me, so it's going to be like that for my kids.
Yeah.
So I'm going to spank them. I'm going to yell at them.
Yeah.
I think people have to realize that, and people need to talk about more about their education and the way they are going to educate their kids, or they are educating their kids. I see it sometimes in my relationship with Orisa. I mean, she's not my kid. I see her more like my friend, where I have to educate her, or train her.
Yeah.
And I'm sometimes seeing that I repeat the same things that my mom used to do with us, like getting like really mad and start screaming.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want that. I don't think it's correct, especially because it hurt me.
Yeah. You realize that as you're doing it, as you're screaming at Orisa, you realize, well, maybe that's not the best way to resolve this issue.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the starting point, right? That's all you need, to have a starting point that gives you a reason to investigate how to maybe do it differently. And at the same time, give yourself the grace to allow yourself to be human and sometimes just lose your nerves. Because sometimes we have to yell. It's human, we do that. But it doesn't have to be the way to educate. It can be a rare occurrence when we had a bad day.
Yeah. That's totally right. Yeah, so at the end, I think parents should be more comprehensive. Like, more understanding with their kids, more open with their feelings.
As I'm thinking about various friends right now, I'm thinking about one friend in particular. I was so excited about what she is doing with her kid because I think that's really awesome. She's a white woman living in the US.
Mm-hmm.
Her partner is also white. They have a kid, and she is making this effort to raise an anti-racist child. She is putting time and energy into research of how to best do that. So we've talked about this a little, her and I. And I love that you, as a white person, are aware that there's racism in our world and that you don't want your child to grow up to be inadvertently complicit in that. You want your child to be an anti-racist because you can't not be a racist. You're a racist or you're an anti-racist. You can't not participate in a conversation that involves all of us all the time.
Yeah.
So I asked her about a couple of things of what she's doing. And for example, she's making sure that the children's books she buys feature people of all kinds of different skin colors. Well, it's a white supremacist world out there still. And I assume that mostly if you go into a regular bookshop, at least if you went into one in Austria and went to the children's book section, you'd probably find books and everyone in those books would be white.
Yeah.
So she's going out of her way to track down books that feature like all kinds of people. And I think that's like, because that's when you have to start. I feel like that's when you start. You just normalize that people come in all kinds of colors and in all kinds of sexual and romantic orientations and all
Yeah,
like
I don't... flesh color.
Exactly.
Even flesh color is racist. Flesh is not that color.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous if you think about it. It's funny. But so like I feel like there is like talking to people like her makes me feel like there is hope out there.
Yeah.
That at least some people are starting to make an effort. Because in a way, like it's not the job of the oppressed to educate the oppressor. Like you also have to just like realize that something around you is not quite right and then look for ways to do it differently. But you also have to want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't think change can be imposed from above.
It's difficult. It's both, maybe.
Yeah, it is both in the sense that, for example, like the change that has to be imposed from above is that these books that you were taught with, for example, that those books, they cannot be teaching materials. I mean, and if you have sexual education classes, which I think is not a bad thing, we had the biology of that, but it wasn't related to any manners classes or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have the sexual education classes, then this is something that has to come from above. You need to restructure them to be more inclusive, to talk about gay sex, to talk about like all the colors of the rainbow, and to present them as all equally valid options. It's not a binary world, and I guess this is a change that would have to be
from above.
From above,
yeah. And also I think that people don't know how to educate themselves, or how to teach themselves. So they need like a guide, and this guide needs to be someone like really neutral or not like a
non-judgmental,
judgmental person.
I do think people are doing the best they can most of the time, but sometimes, like that teacher you had, for example, who told you the story about the lesbian girl who somehow ended up badly.
Yeah.
I don't know what her deal was.
Was she misguidedly trying to protect you from something? Or was she an evil bitch who should rot in hell forever? Is there even a difference between those two?
Well, sometimes I think about it and I say like I hate that bitch, you know, but
and you have all the right to hate her. Yeah.
Yeah, but most of the time I don't even think about it.
Right. She has not earned the right to be someone to be thought about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but sometimes I feel like what I am, you know, like the way I am, it was built because some of these parts are each is seen or each is a block in me, you know, and like I don't
building block.
Yeah, building block. So I don't like that people have this power on me, you know, like or think about it.
What is a building block that you would rather, that you feel like you have now, but that you would rather discard?
Well, like that one, I don't want to. I'd rather not to have this building block because it makes me like scared, you know, and I don't want to be scared of anything.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel what this teacher, the building block she gave you, is that still part of you?
Yeah, a little bit, like in the fact that I could lose my friend like in any time, like that happened, like that happened at that time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying you acquired that fear of losing your friends specifically after hearing that story?
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just things that I think about sometimes. How other people's actions can have a huge impact in your personality or in the way you see yourself or the way you build yourself. And I don't think it's fair that someone else, like a teacher, have that right, you know, or have the power to be that big in your life. And
right.
Yeah, it's kind of unfair. And
yeah,
it is unfair. And a teacher should be someone you can trust.
There should be someone you can come to.
Yeah.
And who helps you figure yourself out. That should be the role of a teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not to judge.
Yeah.
Or oppress or bully
especially
you.
In second grade. I mean, we were 8.
At 8 years of age, you should be able to play with whom and whatever you want. Nah. Well, let me ask you one more question.
Yeah.
Do you feel like now, like today's life as a gay guy in Mexico, in a city the size of Guanajuato, how many inhabitants do we have?
Like 100?
I think it is, right? 100,000? Something like that, yeah. I've looked it up several times. I'm really bad with numbers, so I keep forgetting it. Do you feel like being an adult and in charge of your own life, this is a good place to be queer? Or do you feel like there's also a lot that still has to change?
I mean, it's not a perfect place, but it's not a bad place to live as a gay man. At least, you know, there's no homophobia here, or like evident, or like violence or homophobia. Maybe like judgy looks if you are holding hands with your partner or kissing your partner, but not more than that, I think. And we recently also have like equal marriage. Yeah, last week I made an appointment with the judge for my brother's wedding. And I asked like, what about if I want to get married with another man? Is that possible here? And yeah, it's totally normal and it's the same.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's cool. Yeah, I think people here is respectful with other people. As I said, maybe a little bit judgy and talking about you behind you, but not more than that. You know, like the gossip thing.
Yeah.
Like normal in a small town. But at the same time, it's a small town, so it's still very traditional and very religious. And maybe for me, it's not something bad because I'm not from here and I didn't grow up here. But maybe from someone that did, it's more difficult because it's something like more like take care of your parents, like
Yeah.
keep the appearances up, yeah, especially because you want to keep the status of your family, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So I have like dated or hooked up with a lot of guys that are really shy, like really discreet with their sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
Like like I need to hide sometimes,
Because
or,
their family is from here, from
yeah,
Guanajuato.
and it's a small town, so maybe your one of your friends is not going to see you at the gay bar, but sometimes like the friend of a friend or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think the living quality, it's for a gay guy, for a queer person, it's very good here.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are more like into dating or you want to meet someone new, it's a little bit more difficult because you have to deal with these kind of things.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, because if you met someone from Guanajuato and wanted to date them, you would still have that problem too, because their family would be from here.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, like dating will be like more difficult, like when like go to his place or
Yeah.
you know little stuff like that. Or yeah, sometimes I feel it's more personal, but I think like the options.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I'm getting older, and the people moving here are younger because it's a university city.
Mm-hmm.
So most of new people are students of 18, 19,
Yeah.
or in the 20s. So sometimes it's kind of, I don't know, like a 32-year-old guy should date like 22-year-old guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you'll just have to move closer to Mexico City, where I'll
Yeah,
be
yeah,
moving
yeah, I
to have a
know.
bigger dating pool.
Yeah, I know. But I think in general, from what I lived when I was a kid to today,
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty different. I mean, I think like queer people, there are more representation in cultural things of queer people,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, people like Mexicans are getting more used to that and are getting more acceptable.
Yeah, was it this year or last year? But no, both years, I think. They wrapped the Pipila statue in a big rainbow flag.
Yeah.
Like that's a statue that's on one of the hills around Guanajuato, and you can see it from pretty much anywhere in the city.
Yeah, and that's a big
It
thing
was awesome. I
because
was like, oh, wow, that's so cool.
It's a conservative city, a
Yeah.
conservative state. So yeah.
I mean, I don't know who did that, but they left it on for several days.
Mm-hmm.
So even if it was done by someone kind of secretly, they didn't. There was nobody who immediately took it off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, like there, if I'm currently I'm watching all kinds of Mexican TV shows, and there is gay representation now in the newer ones I'm watching, and it's not necessarily ending badly for them.
Yeah.
That's
yeah, exactly.
like, and these are, I think, shows that are also. I mean, I'm watching them on Netflix, but maybe they're also on. Like, I don't know. I don't have a TV.
Mm-hmm, but I think
maybe like that is a way also of normalizing.
We're going to have like the
ways of life.
Mexican version of Heartstoppers. You know that book and TV show on
Give
Netflix?
me a I don't remember titles well. What happens?
It's about two boys, like high school boys.
Mhm.
One of them is gay and it's out, and the other is like figuring out what is going on with his sexuality, and he realizes he's bisexual, and they start dating.
I don't think so. No,
It's very cute. It's a really cute.
Yeah.
Way too
cool.
cute sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I watch it, I wanted to have a boyfriend. Yeah, bad.
It's like that kind of movie. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're having that.
Cool.
Mexican version of that TV show. Yeah.
Is it being made right now?
Yeah, and also our laws are pretty good, especially like knowing what is going on in other parts of the world. And I think like Mexico has like good laws for queer people.
Yeah, there are many, like more and more states, for example, have equal marriage rights.
Yeah, I think there's only like four. There are like 4 states that don't have equal marriage, and there are 32 states in Mexico.
Yeah, that's
And
pretty
most of
awesome.
Mexico is gay in that way.
Yeah.
Also, I think there's already some people adopting and having kids, gay couples, and we have a lot of no discrimination laws,
Mm-hmm.
not just for gay people, but also for people of any color or yeah status or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a cool thing. At least like institutionally,
Mm-hmm.
we are good. There's still a lot of things to do, but I think by now we are like kind of good.
Yeah. And do you feel like the friends your age will be making their houses a safer space for their kids than the space you had as a kid growing up?
I
Like
hope
the
so.
straight friends you have?
I hope so. Yeah, and I think so. Yeah, yeah. All of my straight friends are really loving, at least with me, and they know what I do. Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, they're really acceptable.
Yeah.
They, I think they really love me, and no matter what, and it's not just me. They accept all queer people, and they know, and I have talked with them about this.
Yeah.
And they know how hard it is to grow up gay or trying to date
Yeah.
if you're the only gay at the party.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I hope all these stories have some impact.
Yeah. All
on them.
the seeds you planted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have 2 friends that have kids. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, one of them is pregnant, and the other
Ah.
one is also pregnant, but he also have another kid.
Well, here's to the next generation.
Yeah.
Having it a little bit easier, just a little bit easier at a time. If we keep that up, we'll eventually get there.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and just remind, nothing of this was free. Like all the rights and everything we have right now was through a lot of fighting and protesting.
Yeah.
Maybe right now there's no a lot of reason to do it, but it's always good to keep that in mind. That
Yeah, and to keep that in mind, no matter whether you're straight or queer. If you're not queer, your friend probably is, and you may or may not know that about them, but you should also fight for them when there is something to fight for.
yeah,
That's what makes a good friend.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having this conversation with me, Rodrigo.
Thank you.
You've given me also a lot to think about. Is there something you would like to add or point out or want our listeners to know with regards to the topic of today's conversation?
I just wanted to share this. I know I'm not the only one. So sometimes it's good to listen to similar stories to yours.
Yes.
And well, I think someone can take something good from this or feel a little bit better to feel they are not alone or whatever.
I feel like feeling like you're not alone makes all the difference.
Yeah.
Like all the difference in the world, really. Knowing, oh, it's not just me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
I feel honored to have had you on.
Mm-hmm.
One last thing we should definitely say is Rodrigo is the best Spanish teacher I've ever had. I mean, I spoke Spanish when I came here, but it's a work in progress. At one point, I want to be at C2 Spanish level, and I still have a long way to go. I wish I could study Spanish every day, but I just don't have the time and energy to devote to it every day.
Yeah.
But there was a couple weeks where I had a little gap in my work schedule. So I was like, okay, I'm going to use that time and go back to studying Spanish. And Rodrigo was already my friend, so obviously I took classes from him. I also have a background in linguistics, and I have taught.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Really?
So I studied English literature and linguistics, and I've taught German as a foreign language. So I also know what it's like to be on the teacher's side.
Yeah.
And I also know how I personally like to learn. And so I felt like I just told you, which is probably not how most students do it, but I told you, like, I want to learn this and this and this, and I learn best like this.
Yeah,
And
you knew what you wanted.
And you just adapted to that. You did such an awesome job because, for example, with me, you can use words like adjective and adverb, and I will know what that means because of my linguistic background. But someone who has never dealt with a foreign language will not know that. And so you can't use those words, or you have to explain them first. You used that meta language with me. Words like, for example, adjective and adverb, to me, they feel like if you have that meta language to talk about languages in general, to me, that's a huge advantage. And that helps me learn and understand and place languages or different languages in my head.
Yeah, and for other people, that's really difficult because you have to use the language to explain the language.
Right. But just telling you that I had that meta language to some degree, and I liked when you used those words with me, and I always wanted to know not just this is how it is, but also why is it that way. And so I'm sure, like, I'm a super challenging student in general. You are a teacher who rises to the occasion. So I would really 110% recommend you to anyone who wants to learn Spanish. Because if Rodrigo can adapt to me, who is certainly a difficult student, I'm sure he can adapt to anyone. So if you're in Guanajuato, he does in-person private classes.
Yes.
And he also teaches online on Zoom.
Yeah, Zoom, Skype.
So wherever you are in the world, you could have the privilege of taking classes with him.
Thank you.
If someone is listening and is currently thinking about brushing up on their Spanish skills, where can they find you, or how can they reach you?
They can send me an email to rodrigo.s.navarrete@outlook.com.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll put that in the show notes, and well, I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye, and say hi to your dogs from me.
Bye.